Now these directors, they deserve more love. Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 most underrated movie directors. My last list I did the overrated. Now it's time for the funner list, the underrated. These are the directors that are pretty praised, but they just need to get a little more love. They need to get probably a little more projects under their hands, and now probably in the future maybe be considered as some of the all-time greats. I think all these directors are incredibly talented, and I think they just deserve a little more love than they get already. So yeah. Let's get to it. Here's my top 10. Here's my top 10 underrated movie directors, in my opinion. As well as for a top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions. And my honorable mentions are Nichols Winding Refn, Sam Mendes, Andrew Stanton, Martin Campbell, and Luc Besson. All pretty underrated directors, just gonna make the top 10 list. But what did my top 10 was my number 10. My number 10 is Peter Weir. Peter Weir is super underrated. He has been doing movies since the 70s, and still no one talks about this guy. This is the kind of guy who did, like, The Mosquito Coast. He did Witness. He did Fearless, amazing film. He did The Truman Show. Like, this is a guy who's made some quality films. The Dead Poets Society. Like, everyone talks about Robin Williams, how amazing he is in that Dead Poets Society, but no one ever talks about how great Peter Weir's direction is. This is a guy who's directed some of the great classic films that we all love to this day, but no one ever puts him on a top 10 best list or even calls him one of the great filmmakers, and they should, because he's absolutely fantastic. Coming in number 9 is George Miller, actually. Yeah, I know, it's a weird choice. Like, yeah, the Mad Max guy. Yeah, I think George Miller deserves a little more praise than he gets. Yeah, I know he was nominated for Best Director for doing an action movie, and very well deserved, because Mad Max Fury Road was a brilliant action film, and it proves that the Oscars don't always need to have a stick up their ass and actually give quality films, quality action films, some Oscar love. I think other than the 4 Mad Max movies he did, he's still a very good filmmaker. He did the Happy Feet movie, which is actually not half bad and stuff, and he also did, like, Witches of Eastwick, which is actually pretty darn good. He also did Babe, the 2 Babe movies, which were also pretty decent as well. I think he actually is a very talented and very creative, visionary director, and I think they need to give him more work. He's more than just a Mad Max director. I think he can do a lot of good quality stuff, so yeah, give this man some more jobs. Coming in number 8 is James Gray. James Gray, super underrated. No one talks about this guy, and this guy, he just knocks out quality films after another. Like, he started off doing the Mark Wahlberg movie, The Yards, which was pretty darn great. Then he did, like, The Immigrant, and then he did, like, The Lost City of Z. That is such a great film, and, like, super underappreciated film. People need to see The Lost City of Z. Such a great, great film. And, yeah, I love the work he does. We Own the Night was also a pretty underrated film, and he's got the new movie this year, Ad Astra, with Brad Pitt. That looks so good. And, yeah, Brad Pitt's having a heck of a year for this year. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Ad Astra both look amazing, and I think James Gray deserves some love, and hopefully he gets an Oscar nomination this year. I really do. Coming in number 7 is Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze, super underrated, very quirky, very out there sort of filmmaker, and I love it. I love his work. I love what he did with Adaptation, and I love what he did with Being John Malkovich. I really love what he did with Her. Her is such a good film. Her is in my top 10 favorite films of this decade. I think Her is such a beautiful film with a beautiful romance between this operating system voiced by Scarlett Johansson and Joaquin Phoenix. Such a pure film, such a beautiful film, and that film alone should make Spike Jonze one of the top tier directors, but no one ever thinks so, which is shitty because he's amazing. Coming in number 6 is Mike Mills. Mike Mills is a very underappreciated director. He's a guy who did movies like Certain Woman, 20th Century Woman, and my favorite, Beginners. I love Beginners. I love that film. More people need to see that movie. He really talks about interesting subject matter. He's not afraid to push the boundaries. He has good dark comedy, but he also has like good subtle jokes throughout his films. He has interesting characters in his films. He has great actors in his films, and he always seems to get a lot of Oscar love, so don't know why he's not up there as the top tier directors. Coming in number 5 is Travis Knight. Travis Knight's only done 2 films, and already after just 2 films, I'm blown away by Travis Knight. He did Kubo and the Two Strings, which was incredible, And he finally made a good Transformers movie with Bumblebee, which was really great. I really had a blast with Bumblebee. And just off 2 films alone, I'm excited for any movie Travis Knight is going to do. Coming number 4 is Jeff Nichols. Jeff Nichols is another pretty underappreciated director. Guy needs to get some more Oscar love. I've liked every movie this guy's done. Every single movie. Between Shotgun Stories, Take Shelter, Loving was really great. What's his other one? I'm missing one. Take Shelter, Shotgun Stories, Loving. Here's another one. What the fuck is it? Gah! I'll put it up there. It's hard to memorize things off the top of your head, but yeah, I love Jeff Nichols. I think he's a very good filmmaker, very good director, really good writer. He needs a little more love, though. Coming number 3 is Jim Jarmusch. Jim Jarmusch is another like quirky, out there sort of filmmaker, but talks about real things. Talks about just real life problems and real life intrigue, and just, I love his work. I love Only Lovers Left Alive. I think that's a great movie. Was it 200 Cigarettes or something? Great film. I love Broken Flowers. I loved Patterson. Those are great movies. He's done a lot of just really cool, just really strange out there indie films. And just, yeah, I love this guy. Coming in number 2 is Makoto Shinkai. Makoto Shinkai is a Japanese anime director, and he is legit the next Hayao Miyazaki. Hayao Miyazaki is like the biggest household name when it comes to Japanese animation. A lot of people say like maybe Goro Miyazaki's right up there with him, and maybe Isu Takahata or something. Maybe, but Mimuro Hosoda is another one. He's a pretty big name in the Japanese lore. I think Makoto Shinkai is the one that is close, very close to being as good as Miyazaki. Movies like Place Promised in the early days, Children Who Chase Lost Voices, Voices of a Distant Star, Garden of Words, 5 Centimeters Per Second, all brilliant films, but most importantly, Your Name. Your Name is one of the best anime films I've seen this entire decade, and it still annoys me that people haven't seen it. Please take my word and watch it. It's absolutely genius. Such a great film. Beautiful story. Very smart as well, with some of the best animation designs you'll ever see, and just more people just need to appreciate Makoto Shinkai. I know people in Japan, they appreciate him, but more people overseas need to appreciate him. And my number 1 most underrated movie director is Mike Flanagan. Easily Mike Flanagan. To horror movie fans, everyone knows who he is. When it comes to horror movie lovers, if you're not a horror movie lover, you have no idea who the hell this guy is. He created the show, wrote pretty much every episode, directed a lot of episodes of The Haunting of Hill House, which was my favorite TV show of last year. Brilliant show. And he's directed a lot of great films, a lot of great indie horror films like Absentia, and even Ouija Origin of Evil, and Oculus is great. I think Hush is his best film. Gerald's Game was really good. Like, he does a lot of great quality horror films. He knows how to build tension beautifully. He knows how to lay out shots beautifully. He knows how to direct his actors properly. I think he is literally one of the greatest horror filmmakers of our time, of our generation, and just, yeah, he needs a little more love. So that was my top 10 most underrated movie directors in my opinion. So in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If you didn't, give me your guys' personal top 10 underrated filmmakers. What filmmakers you think deserve a lot more love than they already get? So yeah, give me your thoughts and opinions, comment below, let me know. And as always for this video, please subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.